when you do something good, give away money, your whole being benefits, even your neurology. We're talking about spirituality, and spiritual, of course, is expressed in many, many, many ways, and in every way possible in our days. One of the things that helps us to grow spiritually is to give, to be generous, to experience our agency in helping other people. And when you do something good, give away money, your whole being benefits, even your neurology gets a bump. So this is a good thing. Now there were, in the Philippines, there were a lot of poor people at one time, and there still are. The poor will always be among us, and they're in every country and need help in every country. But in this time, there was a cardinal, and what he saw was a vast number of poor people living in poverty in his geographical area. And they were very locked in by their poverty mentally, as well as physically. So he began to reflect that what they needed, what would be helpful for them, would be to experience their goodness and their virtue. So he started an initiative called something like Pingo and Pinoy, and it was Pennies from Heaven, Pennies for Heaven, Pennies for Heaven. And so he said, you think you're poor, there's people suffering more than you. You have a lot of things you have, and he reminded them of all they had. And he said, give, because we need to help people who have less than you. And 1 penny will help somebody else who has less than you. Well, nobody was prepared for the response and the success of this initiative. They raised millions and millions and millions of dollars from the poor people, who began to do little fundraisers so they could donate to people who were suffering less. Because what was worse than what they were living? Somebody who had it worse. And they wanted to give. And as they gave, they developed their own initiatives. Why? Because he empowered them to experience their generosity and their goodness. He didn't say to them, you have nothing to offer. You have nothing to offer. You have nothing that anybody wants. There's nothing of value that you could bring. He said the opposite. He said, you've been given a lot. Sure, you don't have everything you want right now or even what you need, but some people are suffering worse. So if you're willing to give pennies all together, we can do marvelous things. Now that money went back in to improving their conditions, obviously. And it did improve their conditions in ways that they could see, and that prompted them to give more. What's my point? Generosity blesses you, it blesses me, it takes your mind off your suffering, it gives you perspective on your suffering and your crosses. I think the most dangerous thing for any of us is self-pity. Self-pity is like a bad flu that can turn into cancer. I mean, if you're suffering and you've been harmed, yeah, this is too bad, I wish I wasn't. But people have it worse, and my job is to transcend my suffering, not to take a bath in it and remain permanently immersed in it. That's one of the things about addiction that, when you're trying to help people is tough to handle, because you want to say, we all have these sufferings. You're just you're feeding yourself with them. And it's like, it's not bringing forth anything new. People get stuck. I would say to you, if you're feeling down, give something away. If you're feeling impoverished, make a donation somewhere to something you believe in. At the very least, go into a city with $5 in your hand and find someone to give it to, someone who might need it. Give something away. That's spirituality. That's an expression of spirit. It'll force you to see somebody's cross and try to make it a little bit lighter.